Good morning. Thank you for attending another facilities training session. During today's session, we're going to be talking about construction process review 702 KAR 4160. They'll review federally funded projects, PostBid processes, as well as school security issues. The presentation today will be led by Greg Dunbar. On the KDE side, we'll have Greg Dunbar, James Bauman, and Jeff Coulter. We will also have a guest presenter, Ben Wilcox, with the State School Security Marshal's Office, assisted by Tanisha Keene. Tanisha will review the Q&A portion of today's presentation, and myself, I will be assisting the team with the PowerPoint presentation. As a reminder, you will be able to ask any questions throughout the presentation. We can kindly ask that you leave the questions towards the end of the presentation, but we will address them. You can ask questions using the Q&A feature in your Teams live event system. The topics for review today will be projects using federal funds, elementary and secondary school emergency relief 1, 2, and 3, American Rescue Plan, ARP, and ESSER, Davis-Bacon Act requirements, PostBid submittal requirements, bond sale approval processes, and school security issues. And now I'll turn it over to Greg. Greg, you're probably muted. Seems like we're having technical difficulties on Greg's side.
Yeah, thank you, Oksana. I was getting quite a bit of feedback. Is anybody else having an issue?
I didn't hear any feedback. How about the rest of the team?
I am not muted.
I'm good.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, maybe it was on my side. You can go ahead, Greg.
Okay. Well, I am. Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Now I can, yes.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. As I'm sure you all know, there's quite a significant amount of federal funds that have flowed to schools, some of which are being used for capital construction projects. District Facility Branch has not been
Greg, I think you cut out again.
Yes, Greg, we're having difficulties hearing you. Greg, are you there? Okay. All right, we lost Greg for maybe for a minute. I think he'll probably will leave the presentation and come back in. Let's see if he has better reception or Wi-Fi connectivity when he comes back in. James, you want to kind of like take over and talk a little bit about the presentation we're showing?
I'll do my best.
Okay, thank you, James.
Sure thing. As Greg alluded to in the very beginning, there's a tremendous amount of federal money coming in as a result of the ESSER Act, elementary and secondary school emergency relief. It came in 3 tranches, and there's Greg again. Can you hear me? Can you hear us?
I am back. Can you hear me?
We can, but it's not the best quality. We've lost him again.
I think so. That it's so odd. It's never happened before.
Sorry, folks. This is an unusual occurrence that we've never had this issue before. Well, to continue. So, and then ESSER 3 is also known as the American Rescue Plan ESSER, but like I said, sometimes we just call it ESSER 3. The main point of this is that because it's federal funds, there are federal requirements. So there are Department of Labor requirements. We say here the electronic document gathering, analysis, and retrieval regulation. I can assure you that none of us really know what that is, but that is a requirement. There are uniform grant guidance requirements. This will be handled by the people that handle grant management in your district. But for us, you have to identify the ESSER funds as another available fund on the BG1. That's down at the bottom. And you have to attach the grant management application process documents. And typically that is a listing saying, for instance, you're getting $5 million in funds. That is a listing that simply delegates where that $5 million goes. What we need to see, what we prefer to see, is an actual dollar count toward a specific project in that document. So that would be the best for all of us. It makes our analysis much easier. I see Greg is back, but he's muted, so I'll just keep going. Next slide, please.
Sure. And maybe Greg's connectivity gets better, and then I'm sure he would join at any point.
So in the project manual, you have to address this. Of course, as you know, the prevailing wage here was bounced out back in 2017. So we've generally excised the 9.2 part of the instruction to bidders out of our project manual, but with these projects, you got to put it back in. So make sure that if you have a template that says to remove 9.2, make sure that template is updated to show in an ESSER project that Davis-Bacon Act provisions are still in force. Now, Davis-Bacon, for those of you that aren't particularly familiar with it, they combine wage and fringe benefits. We have a link here to a Department of Labor website that goes into somewhat more detail as to how you conform to their requirements. And basically it's based on wage determinations for specific trades and specific areas. So Paducah will have one wage determination, Ashland will have another. And it just depends on the labor force and the labor market in those specific areas as to what the construction trade wage determination is. Next slide, please. And you can find these determinations. Again, we have a link there. And typically the wage determinations are incorporated into the bidding documents. And once the job is underway, they also need to be posted on the job site. We have some FAQs there. Again, another link. And this presentation will be on our website, so you'll be able to access these links at that point, at least get a sense of where they are. So as you know, we have a specific KDE AIA document, A701. instructions to bidders. After that section, you should provide a section for you architects there titled Supplementary Instructions to Bidders. We typically see them anyway, but make sure you have a section in there regarding Davis-Bacon provisions, noting that this project utilizes federal funds. Talk about the available information for wage rates, etc. But it's important that you note that this project does utilize federal funds. Next slide, please. So in that section that talks about available information, we give you some template language here. For those of you familiar with Davis-Bacon, as you know, you have to keep payroll records. You have to submit payroll records on a weekly basis. You have to include the wage rate determination for the location of where your project is located. Some of you may have been at our January webinar where we talked to the Department of Labor. There are substantial Q&A from that. I believe that may be on our website as well as part of the record of that webinar. And again, look at the wage rate determination to make sure that the trades you have on the job are in the determination. If not, you can get a supplemental determination from the U.S. Department of Labor if that's important. Of course, wage determinations are in several categories. There's heavy highway, there's residential, and I believe commercial, and typically we would be doing commercial rates. Next slide. So talk to your district, make sure that they're aware that Davis-Bacon is going to be part of this project. Of course, the market is pretty crazy these days with supply chain issues, with inflation being what it is. So talk about this. You don't want too many surprises come bid day. You will be surprised, but you want to try and at least mitigate that as best you can. Put it in the advertisement for bids. Make sure that everybody knows that you don't get a bid that doesn't have Davis-Bacon and then you realize that you got to throw it out later. Get your pre-bid, just keep beating them over the head with the fact that this is a federal job. One thing to understand about federal funding, in for a penny, in for a pound. If there's Davis-Bacon on the job site, then everybody is controlled by Davis-Bacon. Just because you've got some ESSER funds to replace an HVAC unit doesn't mean the carpenters are exempt. They still have to adhere to Davis-Bacon wage rates. Next slide, please. Okay, so you've had your bid. We're going to transition now to talk about just post-bid submittals. Everybody's recovered from the enormous price differential between your estimate and your bid. And you've got to start submitting documentation to us. So that will include, and this is for every owner contractor agreement, which means that if you're doing a CM job and you've got 10 or 12 primes out there, you need to submit 10 or 12. You need to include in every owner contractor agreement the bid tab, the form of proposal, that's the KDE form of proposal, along with the bid security, the written recommendation of the design professional and the CM, if you've got one, regarding award of the contracts, written rationale for additional cost if accepted bid exceeds the cost estimate by greater than 10%, and I think we all know what that's all about, and a completed and signed KDE purchase order summary if you're using purchase orders. Now that summary, we use that to verify purchase orders so that the process can move along until the signed purchase orders can be submitted, because we know that getting a signed purchase order sometimes takes an inordinate amount of time, too long. And so the purchase order summary enables us to keep the process moving and, more importantly, move ahead to that bond sale. We will also need a post-bid revised BG1 to conform to the contract amount. Now, this is very important. We cannot approve a post-bid BG1 without submitted contracts. Okay? We get a BG1, we don't have a contract to back it up, we can't do anything with it. So just lean on your contractors to get their information in as soon as possible, because we can't approve the BG1 without the contract. We can't approve a bond sale without a post-bid revised BG1. Next slide, please. So we recommend that contracts and purchase order summary forms be submitted 25 working days prior to the scheduled bond sale, so that we can review it, we can approve it, correct it if we have to. And I would say a lot of times we get bond sales that are set very close, too close to the bid opening day. And sometimes it works, but a lot of times there's a lot of scrambling on people's parts to try and get all the information into us in time. And that's really unnecessary. So from the get-go, you should talk with your fiscal agent. When's your bid day? When's your bond sale? You should have 5 weeks between the two. And just to reiterate what I said on the slide before, we cannot approve a post-bid BG1 without the approved contract submittals. And delays run the risk of bond sale postponement. Nobody wants that. So you've submitted your KDE contract on the proposed level. We've approved it, returned it to you. What comes back to us is a signed copy of each contract and the purchase order, certificate of insurance, and a copy of the 100% payment performance bonds, along with the signed copy of the contract. Next slide, please. So we have a separate bond sale approval process, and this is handled largely by the fiscal agent and KDE financial folks. So the fiscal agent needs to upload to the bond sale system, which is a sort of a parallel system to FactPack, a minimum of 10 working days prior to the scheduled bond sale. The KDE approved revised post-bid BG1, we've talked about that. Notice of revenue bond sale, official terms and conditions, plans of financing, and the preliminary official statement. These are financial forms that the fiscal agent is competent and ready to provide to the system. And then, much like FactPack provides an electronic approval to bidding documents or I should say to the contract documents, the KDE bond sale system will provide electronic approval to the bond sale. Once again, late submittals run the risk of bond sale postponement. And if I could go back a slide. Talking about contract submittals, now this is for CM jobs. One way to kind of reduce the amount of paperwork you guys have to do is that for every contract, whatever the bid package is, submit that contract and the form of proposal and bid security as one package. And then separately, you can generate the letters from the architect and CM of approval, the advertisement for bid, and the various what you would call common documents. You can set that up as a separate PDF, and then just submit that with every contract submittal, and that kind of helps you out there doing your paperwork. So go ahead, next slide, and I think 2 slides probably. School security, we do have a gentleman from the, Mr. Wilcox from the School Security Marshal's office. But before we bring him in, we're just going to talk about KRS 158, 162, which are the things that we're concerned about in facilities regarding requirements. And this would be these 6 requirements, which is outside access to exterior doors controls the main entrance with electronic doors, cameras, and intercoms. Most schools already have this already. They may not have a vestibule, but they do have an electronically secure door. Controlling access to individual classrooms, generally that's a new lock set. Requiring classroom doors to be equipped with hardware that allows the doors to be locked from the outside but open from the inside. Nothing new there. Requiring classroom doors to remain closed and locked during an instructional period. unless there's just one adult and one student in the classroom, or if the school security marshal gives their approval. Next slide, please. Item 6, requiring classroom doors with windows to be equipped with material to quickly cover the window during a building lockdown. That's just an internal shade. Requiring visitors to report to the front office, providing an ID and state the purpose. I think, again, most schools already, if not all schools, already do that. And then providing a visitor's badge to be visibly displayed on a visitor's outer garment. Again, when I visit schools, that seems to be pretty much the standard operating procedure already. Next slide, please. And this is the big one. This is schools not in compliance by this July 1 shall not be eligible for approval by KDE for new building construction or expansion. So that's a pretty big deal. So we have to have verified compliance. And this is just something that's going to have to be done this spring. Now, Mr. Wilcox will speak to the status of where the schools are in that process and what his office is looking forward to for the rest of the spring to getting schools into compliance. So I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, James. I appreciate that. Very good to be here. I'm getting a little bit of feedback, so I'm going to turn my hopefully speaker down. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. Just want to go over a couple things. We have completed about 900 plus schools so far this school year. We're on our third assessment. We have a 19% of schools that are out of compliance with 158.1623D, which is the access controlled amendments. The good thing is that we have 81% that are in compliance, and we won't need to go back and reassess. How this works is every 2 months we send a list of schools to Kentucky Department of Education, just as a reminder to KDE of the schools that are out of compliance and need to be reassessed. Our reassessment process is very simple. If you are out of compliance as a school with one of these mandates, you just need to fix the issue and call us back, and we will come reassess. We won't reassess until you call us back. I'll give you a heads up on how you know if you're out of compliance is that we complete the risk assessment tool and we send it to the SSC or your school safety coordinator. If one of the questions from 1 to 11 is marked no, that means you are out of compliance with 158.1623D as it relates to approval of building funds. So, you know, if you don't know if you're out or not, or you're about ready to apply for some new building construction or renovation, get with your SSC and make sure that you are in compliance. If not, fix the issue and call us back. Our folks will come out. It won't take that long to reassess. And I'll give you some numbers, just as James alluded to with these questions, is that we only have one school that's out of compliance for reporting to the main office. We have 32 schools that did not ask for identification. We have 8 schools that didn't require asking purpose of the visit. 27 didn't require a visitor's badge. 5 did not have electronically locking doors. Of course, that's a maintenance issue that needs to be fixed. 8 did not have cameras. And this is out of 900 so far. We have over 1,200 schools that we assess. The intercom system only needed to be applied to 12 schools. This is where it's easy stuff to be fixed that we can come by and check very quickly. We had 59 schools that did not control access to exterior doors and over 128 that did not have classroom doors closed during instructional time. That's very easy for us to come back to check on. We just need to get it fixed. That way we don't hit July 1 and you're not eligible for those funds. We are waiting. We are planning on getting all of our schools done by April, so we have May to go do reassessments if possible, but we will be sending a list to KDE or Kentucky Department of Education on July 1 with any schools that are out of compliance with those mandates. Jeff, do you have, or I'm sorry, James, do you have any questions? I just spoke for about 5 minutes without breathing, so I want to make sure I hit everything that was necessary.
No. I guess our question is, what percentage of the schools have you assessed so far?
We have assessed over 70%. We're about at 75 right now. When I pulled this information, we had assessed 900 out of the 1,200 that we assess.
And when do you think you'll get to those other 300? What's your?
We'll be finishing up those 300 by the end of May, or I'm sorry, the end of April. Our plan is to give that grace period of May, so if schools need to be reassessed, we can go back and reassess them. We will reassess at any time, though. If there is an issue and we just assessed your school and you fix it, call us back. We'll come right back. In fact, we'd really like to go ahead and start getting some of those reassessments done, so we are not scrambling in May.
Sure. Well, I think largely the fixes, I think are not that difficult to make.
They are not.
I suspect that some of the electronic issues, there may be some issues in getting the materials. These days, anything goes. Who knows?
Correct, but like I said, these are assessments that's been done for the last. This is our third assessment. So the majority of the schools where I made reference to electronic locking doors and things of that nature are in the process of getting those fixed.
Right.
And we've been told we're not really concerned with that. What we're really concerned with is the doors that are open, and just get in touch with us, get us back there so we can go ahead and mark you off the list. My goal here, and I should say our goal here, is to have everybody in compliance by July 1. The biggest portion, I know we're talking about money, but the biggest thing about this is kids' safety. So if we can get everybody in compliance, we're really where we need to be, safety-wise and financial-wise.
Surely if the school is not in compliance on July 1, they still have the opportunity to go into compliance just by giving you a call and getting a reassessment, do they not?
You'll have to get a reassessment. Yes, our only concern is that for us to reassess doors with kids behind them in July, it may be August before we get back to make that assessment. So you'd be waiting around a month before we could get back. So
right.
We would really like to get this done beforehand to negate that process, just because I know that every day that you aren't approved for building, prices are going up. So we want to get that fixed. And
to be fair, I mean, there's some facilities that really they're not going to have any work done to them. That it's, clearly they can't approve for funds, but they may not need them, right?
Correct.
So it's going to be the schools that need work that are out of compliance are going to be the ones that everyone should be focusing on.
Correct. And that's, well, like I said, everybody needs to focus on following the mandates, but definitely, folks, if you're wanting to get new approval for such, this would be a big hassle if you're not in compliance by that time.
Right. And is the compliance letter just sent straight to the school or the district?
Yes, our risk assessment.
I guess the district safety officer, right?
Yes, it's sent directly to the SSC. That's the only person we send it to. We've been working in cooperation with you all. Every 2 months, we send a reminder out to all SSCs and to all superintendents to make sure that they look at that document and make sure that they're where they need to be. But those documents are released to SSCs as soon as we complete the assessment.
And is there any process for acknowledgement of receipt? So they can't claim, well, we never got this.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We get, that goes to us, that goes in our files, that goes into our database for records retention. And of course, the biggest thing is that we have a relationship directly with the schools through our compliance officers. So they are very aware that the schools have received them. And of course, they check on that. And if a school doesn't receive something or has issues, they can get a hold of the compliance officer and we'll get them another copy right away.
Okay. Well, I had a few questions, but that's about the sum of it.
Okay. And if you have questions at any time, we are very, very open. We are very, very easy to work with. Our compliance officers can be on grounds of your schools within probably 24 hours if you call them and need them for something. Each school and district has their own assigned compliance officer. They work with the same person. So it makes it very, very easily. We cut out the middleman. You go directly to us and we'll help you in any which way we can.
Well, that's good to hear. That was, I know, a concern with our branch is that what was the time lag between a request and an appearance by your people and to resolve these things. So
yeah.
That's good to hear.
And one of those things, if you call us and say, hey, we've shut all our doors or we fixed this, it may not be the next day to get to you, but we'll be getting to you pretty soon. But our folks respond extremely quickly when you have questions or issues, just because of the relationship between the SSCs and our compliance officers.
All right. That's it for me. I can tell you that Tanisha can confirm this, but it looks like we have no questions. Is that correct?
We do not at this time.
Well, thank you very much. That means I've explained myself so well, and you all have explained yourself so well.
Yeah.
No question to be asked.
You and me both. That's good to know.
Well, thank you all very much for having me. I've got to jump off for another meeting. Call if you need something, okay?
You bet. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
James, let's wait like another minute and to see if we get any new questions coming in.
Sure.
Hey, James, I'd like to chime in here just for a second. Great job, by the way.
Thank you.
One thing, in terms of the ESSER funding and the Davis-Bacon wage rates, all that is explained clearly. The one thing I think everybody might want to know is that the local district is responsible for those pay applications and that reporting. That information does not come to KDE.
That's correct. You're
we
right.
still do not receive pay applications or those weekly reports that the school district would be responsible for throughout the process of construction administration, that you would work with your contractors, construction managers, architects, design teams. That would remain between the local level and any reporting needs that you may or may not have with the federal government. But that component of it does not come through our office still.
Right. Yeah, that's the last thing we need is weekly payrolls. We have another. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we have no new questions, but I do want to remind the meeting participants that we are scheduled for another live event and training session in April. Believe it's scheduled April 14, same time, 11 a.m. The subject for that still to be determined. I think Greg had some insight on what it was going to be, but because he's having technical difficulties, we can get him on the meeting. But yeah, it's gonna be on this 11 a.m. In a month from now, so stay tuned for that. I will send the invitation as well with the links and the information of what's the topic, and we will be the leading participants of that presentation. James, is there anything else you want to add? We don't have no new questions.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just want to reiterate to those of you who are sticking around. I think most of this is fairly common knowledge regarding post-bid stuff. I'll just reiterate what I said in the presentation, is that we do a lot of scrambling, unnecessary scrambling for bond sales, because contracts are late coming in, BG1s are late coming in. And so I think if you sit down in the beginning and tell your fiscal agent that these are the time frames you need, then I think that will ameliorate a lot of the problems we have post-bid. As far as Davis-Bacon, I think the most important thing to remember is just that if you got Davis-Bacon on the job, you've got Davis-Bacon everywhere on the job. And you can't mix and match trades saying that some are covered and some are not. If you're on the job site, everybody's covered.
I would add, James, communicate that between the district and the design teams, because a lot of what James mentioned is in the design professional's hand in terms of putting it in the project manuals and things like that.
Right.
If the district ends up being the responsible party for the BG forms, like the BG1, that shows that funding source, if the design professional is not informed of that funding mechanism, they would not have the ability to know that they need to incorporate that into the project. And so that's a big deal. Oftentimes they help with revised BG1s and the like, but knowing the funding sources can be important for the design professional as they put that information together, because it impacts what they put into those books.
Yep, can't disagree. Well, should we conclude?
I think so. Let's just remind the participants again that this will be posted in the KDE website. Typically within like a couple of business days, we should have it ready and upload it. I will send everyone an email once it's ready for access next week. Thank you so much for participating. James, I think we can conclude.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next month.
See you next month.